The WE we know and love, is it returning here in the home arena in Xi'an? It is a beautiful city. If you haven't visited already, I would recommend it. I went about 7 years ago, and it looks like it's changed. There was a lot of construction back then, but now it's all built. I can't wait to visit. Welcome back. My name's Shaky Sterix Ozzy. This is Mr. Clement Chu. And Game 1 showed us WE we can know and we can love. And showed us Mystic on the Ashe, who's the MVP, so deservedly so. He looks so great on Dad Ashe.
Yeah, definitely. Like the walls of Xi'an that have been standing there for a millennium.
Yeah.
Mystic has always been standing up for WE as well. 43% of the team's damage and 100% kill participation. Ooh. This team knows how to play around early priority for AD carries, so I want to see them do more for it. Usually we talk about WE Elder Dragon team. Wake me up at 35 minutes. This is when they're going to start to rise and shine. But this time they actually go with a very good blue side early game strategy that made sense through all the, not through only the late game, but through the early and mid as well.
They were so active early on and came back to beishang as well in that jungle. That matchup was just so one-sided. beishang had dominance early on, the good vision control, and also the start of the vertical jungling, which wasn't responded there by the side of V5.
Yeah, definitely, and we're actually going to see a swap of junglers coming in for V5. They're going to be placing Pepper, someone who's been known as more of a duelist, rather than Ben4. Ben4 is all about the ganking, Aatrox and Gragas. He doesn't actually bring any of those damage runes just one-on-one, but that's not the case for Pepper. Pepper was previously known as Regret on RNG behind MLXG. He's got a bit of that fire in him as well. Also a spicy name, just like his master. He's going to be going for more of the Lucians and more of the Canes. So trying to shake up the matchup by making it a 1v1 between
we got Yehan. Was that his original name as well?
Yes, his original name was Yehan.
Back on Royal Club, or RNG rather. So that was a while ago as well. So you should remember Pepper in some form. But this is like... And again, I'm not going to compare it, but I am at the same time. It's almost like how RNG, you know, you have Cast, you have MLXG. For V5, they've been playing off that fact when it doesn't seem right or the stylistic change is not working in favor of V5, they bring in Pepper. And that makes perfect sense. But because Ben4 in that game didn't have any control. And we have to take it back to Mystic because it was so hard dealing with Ashe. They couldn't get onto him, and especially around that Baron fight, those early fights, those big fights, rather. WE just had full control.
It was a weird situation for me because I don't think V5 really had the tools to contest this, but let's watch WE's beautiful team fight to start it off. A great Keeper's Verdict, a great stun onto the Cataclysm to keep out the damage dealers from V5, and Mystic also did not get touched by the Slicing Maelstrom. Able to kite back, great exhaust coming in from Missing to slop that down, and he gets an easy triple.
Let me just say that Ashe has never looked so powerful in the LPL. It is always the initiator. It is always, oh yeah, the arrow is what it's about, and we'll follow up. But 100% kill participation and 5-item Ashe looked fantastic. So
it feels weird to say, but protecting the AD carry composition seems to be a lost art in the LPL. Not a lot of people are actually playing it anymore.
Not for Mystic. I mean, I remember Mystic's Cogmore.
Yeah. So Mystic is pretty much the only one in there, but if you think about the other teams, there really aren't a lot of protect the ADC comps. A lot of your AD carries are playing in the front line right now. Kalistas, the Lucians, the Kaisas as well. So this type of a team fight, super interesting. I wonder if this style will actually hold on.
I wonder if we go back to the style that we talked about at the start of today, with the AD carries like the Kalista Halo Blades, the changes in 9.4 that make us think that Lucian is just so good. A lot of these teams shying away from the Lucian pick, even in the first rotation or even at all. So it's questionable as to whether someone like Y4 who's played it will look at it this game.
No, I don't think so. I don't think Lucian is first pickable anymore.
Ooh.
Has a very bad matchup into the Kalista. If you think about the trade patterns, it's very easy for her to dodge away with her martial poise and just return the favor on you with her short trades. And what we've been seeing is that the Lucian, even though he has a great laning phase, outside of it, he's not been doing much at all. The top laner pool is completely different against guys like Cyan and Urgot, where you can just wail on them for free, and these champions can't really touch him. Lucian was great, but the top lane meta is different. You're seeing a lot more Gangplanks, you're seeing Poppies, which you do no damage against, and then you see Vladimirs and Kennons, who actually outrange you. And you really have to ask yourself, what does a Lucian provide you outside of laning phase if these are the champions he's facing?
At least we can expect to see something like the Kalista, maybe a change in the AD carry. Nonetheless, maybe stealing away that Ashe that was punishing here against Victory 5. It's such a big matchup. There's huge waiting here on this series. We need Y4 to come out of the woodwork being better in the 2v2 matchup in the bottom lane. Because V5, if they lose this, they'll be stuck on 4 wins. They'll be at a point where they have to go against Sino Dragon, Suning, EDG, and FPX. Playoff dreams start and maybe end with this matchup against WE.
I want to see V5 have a more focused composition. This is Pepper that you're seeing on the screen right now, and he might be that change. If you think about it, if you're playing against WE, you cannot have a weak bot side. Their jungler mid was not guaranteed. Their bot laner lost their towers very, very early on. And you at least need one winning lane between those two.
What we're looking at just then, by the way, was Pepper wiping off the sweat. There's a lot of pressure in this matchup, and I'm sure he's going to feel it. The way beishang and Pepper are going to play into each other interests me the most here, is how maybe the change in jungle picks for beishang. I mean, the Lee Sin was banned away. Someone like Pepper, Nocturne, Lee Sin, Olaf is what I'm expecting to see.
Man, I just love how the producers stuck on Pepper
about
for so long.
At least a minute.
I understand that, you know, you have to show the roster changes and the lower third has to pop, but then sticking onto him for that extra 30 seconds,
yeah.
I'm not sure that made a lot of sense to me.
He's doing it again. Like, he skipped top lane straight to the jungle. He's like, you know what? You know, let's
this man is wiping
Pepper.
his face. Yep. We must put him on camera.
Makes sense. Camera crew over here are very inventive, I believe. I don't even believe I've been proven right. For WE, let's not, you know, let's not kind of shy away from the fact that yes, their gameplay's gotten better, but also that I think at the core of it is still beishang. Still, you know, Heavy talks about Pepper, I understand. More Heavy talks about beishang after the game 1 performance.
WE looked terrible at the early part of the split.
That they did. We did not believe in Magic. That was for sure.
We did not believe in Magic. And beishang, I felt like he brought an immediate change to the team. The problem with WE is that they actually had winning lanes. They weren't this. They weren't like the rest of the bottom table teams where you felt like their lanes just couldn't match up.
You got xiye. Like, xiye is such a good mid laner.
xiye and Mystic were actually winning their lanes, but Magic was doing a very poor job at turning those lane leads into actual map priority, into map control, into the enemy jungle, and beishang changed a lot of that. beishang, you could see in that previous game, he was tracking Ben4 around the map. He was using the counter jungler to keep timers on Ben4, control where he could go next, and the difference has been very remarkable. W had turned around from a team that was losing games to the likes of Snake, didn't really win much at all, in fact. And now they're standing up against teams like BLG. A very marked improvement, and I actually felt like they had a great set against Invictus Gaming as well.
Yeah, so no, I agree with that.
That's tremendous growth on their part.
On your note of growth, yeah, like the BLG matchup was a very good testament to how WE are going. Their most recent best of 3 that they came across with a win 2-1. Their win against EDG as well.
Oh yeah, that one was huge.
Like, that was massive. And we thought, what are EDG doing? But it was more so like, what are WE doing? That is so right. And it also comes back to not just beishang, but the other new element in WE. Yes, you've got xiye, Mystic, and Missing. Look at Post. His first split in the LPL as a top laner. I mean, he hasn't been in the LPL before. What I'm saying is our top lane pool is so stacked, you think you're getting free patties at KFC, right? Post is a miracle to this team.
Yes.
And the way he's going, he's playoff ready, and his potential continues to grow with the rest of WE, and that's what V5 have to fear about running into this second game, that the potential of WE early, mid, and late is all too much to handle. How do they fight back?
I think V5 don't really stand a chance against WE in terms of team fight coordination. That's never been their strong suit.
True.
I feel like V5 need to find something that can win out on the lane, and they need to snowball the lanes hard. And I honestly don't think top lane is the way you want to do it, because Pose has been trained by WE to have so many safe picks in the top side. It's really hard to crack his lane. So what I want to see from V5 is just get a strong bottom lane. Leave those counter picks towards the bottom side. You shut down Mystic, and you have a strong side to play through.
Yep. Play pretty safe during this early pick phase, as V5 already have with the Jarvan and Galio. You'll notice that they're not letting the Lissandra through a second time. They're not letting Mystic on his Vayne. Even LeBlanc for xiye. The most noticeable ban there is the Aurelia, the Riven again, followed by the Rise. Means WE get that first pick in the Rek'Sai, which was banned away. And there has been no priority on stopping Mystic on this Ashe. MVP or not, it looks like it'll be rinse and repeat for the bottom lane of WE.
Not a lot of good counters into the Ashe. What we've seen so far is that Varus actually does well into the Ashe, but a lot of players don't actually pick that Varus up. It's been a bit of a lost art in terms of the champion pool. But wait a minute.
Oh, hello. That's a Corki. Now, SMLZ played that in the AD carry position. However, that looks more like xiye at this point.
Now, I do think this is more of a xiye pick. It does well into the Galio, which might be one of the champions we actually see.
I'm not sure we like AD carry Corki in this meta as well.
No, AD carry Corki is, it's pretty funky of a pick.
Funky?
It's very funky because you're not very good earlier on.
Never heard you use that word
And
before.
just with the AP scaling as well, it requires you to shift around your AD damage on the composition. So I think WE most likely xiye is still going to be picking up the Corki, so it's considered, it's basically that Corn does have a counter pick in this situation. He's not going to be going for the Galio like Doinby did.
I mean, man, that's such a rough counter pick though, Clement. Syndra into Corki is age-old as a really rough matchup for the Corki.
Yeah, the range advantage from Scatter the Weak, much stronger onto Syndra's side. Also, Syndra does have that cooldown advantage over you as well. You cannot Valkyrie out of her Scatter the Weak 2 times in a row. There's that gap where you can find most of the damage.
I'd be curious to see how it goes for xiye. Styled over Korn before, but we're onto the AD carry bans for WE. Like the Kalista away from Y4, knowing that he might just be forced to play the same thing again.
Kalista plus Galio, one of the most deadly combos, and does very well against Tahm Kench, because you do have that AoE taunt. A lot of times, the Ashe is not going to find that opening where she can be devoured if you go Fate's Call and into Galio taunt. So I like this ban away, and also trying to keep their options open. Remember, Kai'Sa is still on the board, so banning away Vladimir does open up that option as well.
Does mean, though, that V5 are kind of forced to do what they did in Game 1, even if just a little. This time, the Aatrox locked on in. Remember that we haven't seen too much top lane Jarvan in the LPL, but this is a potential window that V5 can exploit if they want to put Jinoo on that carry.
I would say Aatrox is still going to be towards the top side. I'm not a big fan of Jarvan top lane. It almost doesn't win any matchup. So definitely going to be the Aatrox top side, and Jarvan has been one of those picks that has been Pepper's go-tos. He's very aggressive, likes to go all in, and it's now the question for WE, what is their pick that can avoid this engage? There's a lot of option on V5's end. They have the Cannonball combination that LPL loves so much. Scatter the Weak is very deadly as well. What AD carry can, that's the answer.
Okay, all right, that's a safe pick there from Mystic, but remember, Ezreal has a great laning phase. Who else does? Well, you don't like the Lucian, but at the moment, it's the only thing up that can challenge.
Oh boy, here we go.
Raz loves this pick.
Lucian still has a advantage earlier on in lane, but we have to mention that on this patch, Lucian is sitting at 25% win rate. Not a very good look for the champion.
Oh, it is not.
It is not a good look. And the main windows that he has to abuse is he needs to get those turret platings down before the Ezreal can get the Iceborne Gauntlet. Once we see the Iceborne Gauntlet come out on Ezreal, Lucian can't even really push that lane advantage anymore.
Yeah. Further to your point just before about jungle and top, looks like it will be the Aatrox in the top lane. We'll find out in 3 seconds. But that is locked on down. So Jinoo on Aatrox, of course. Pepper, I didn't really felt like it fit the style. Otherwise, they may have just left in Ben 4. But in Game 2, the change of jungle, the change of draft here seems to be a lot more stable from V5. Clement, I know you didn't like the draft in Game 1. I know you didn't like the feeling of the composition. But I have to say in Game 2 again, I like WE though. I do like WE.
Yes, W, I think they still have their core identity where they have a lot of zoning tools and they also have a lot of damage in the late game. So very focused on their 5v5 team fighting and just their ability to kite around the map.
Yep.
For V5, however, much better laning phase focus. I think that's where they want to challenge WE. Team fights, I really don't see V5 beating WE, but when it comes down to individual mechanics, if you really break it down and make beishang play a 1v1 game against Pepper, then you have a chance. You have a strong bot and a strong mid to go with that as well. So you can find those jungle fights where you already have an advantage and take it on to Rek'Sai.
I want to see a response better from Pepper in this game number 2. Out-jungled, outclassed by beishang in Game 1. That's what we were saying about Ben 4, but Pepper's always been brought in to change the balance. And Game 2 to take us all the way. Now the question is, will this jungle change be enough to keep V5 in contention for playoffs? Otherwise, their strength of schedule doesn't lie, and it could be even harder for them to climb up, take that 8th position, which could be WE's after this. It's hard to find fans. No. Okay, just for context for everyone out there at the moment, people are chanting Rogue Warriors for a big reason. The fact that they beat RNG, there are now Rogue Warriors fans just revitalized in every single province in China. So it's, you know, it's exciting, but the Chinese crowd, once again, I say it all the time, they have, oh, stop this. They have found new energy.
And Mystic has found some new energy for himself as well.
He's doing.
You know, he saw the ward go down. He's like, haha, I will taunt you.
This is how, you know, pixel brush ward for tilt? I don't think so. Very smart here from Y4 and Lay, pushing up into the lane early as a red start, probably to be expected. So Mystic and missing. Hopefully they don't fall for this one.
I like the start from V5 as well. It's an easy path into a gank on the bot side. Yep. And Tahm Kench is one of those champions that has a very difficult time against Galio. Can't really run away, doesn't have the mobility. The Galio E, you know, you can't slow him down through that. So he's always going to get the taunt down. And if they can follow that up with a gank, it's going to be very well for V5.
Pepper is down here, but the Pixel Brush Ward will spot him out as he goes for the invade. No vertical jungling to be had, but Krug should still be there. Pepper drops a ward himself. I wanted to take a look at the top side because 2 runes that we don't normally see. The Electrocute on the Aatrox, which we've seen the difference of Comet. Even Conqueror, I think, has been picked up time and time again. Post has gone for Grasp of the Undying on the Yorick. So we know that this is going to be a very volatile lane for the Yorick. Easy to get pushed out here, and Post knows it.
The changes have mainly been on Aatrox's side in the fact that his sustain is now much weaker. You don't get the sustain passive onto minion waves anymore. It only procs onto champions.
Yep.
So because of that, you actually are much weaker in terms of all-in fights. You take an all-in fight and you can't sustain back on the minion wave. That's the problem. So I like the Electrocute because what it means is that you have a way to trade successfully and just through short trades. You want to poke them with your Q, get your Electrocute proc off, and then walk back.
I thought that was very smart jungle pathing, but he's just going back to his blue buff. Did go up and steal away a Raptor camp. And again, beishang. Really kind of good peace of mind, or presence of mind rather.
I actually really like that move from beishang's part. The minion wave was too large, and it's actually very difficult for Yorick to walk up. Yep. So the Rek'Sai is going to take a lot of damage during that trade, and frankly, that was good on Jinoo's part as well. He knew the jungle pathing coming in from the Rek'Sai. He was already spotted out by Pepper earlier on, and that was just a safe decision.
Oh, that's a flash here from Pepper. Hang on a minute. Just a Valkyrie on top. Xiye finds a Phosphorus Bomb, even outtrades 1v2. Yeah, milady.
Oh boy, Pepper was so lucky that he did not scrape xiye on his E.
He felt that though.
Yeah.
beishang might find something else. Now, talking about winning lanes, missing and Mystic getting pushed in. That's a low Tahm Kench in the bottom lane. Y4 needs to find a win here in this lane. And kind of relying from V5 after what was a misplay in the mid lane.
This is what we were talking about of the lane trade, however. It's very easy for Tahm Kench to lose a lot of health against the Galio. It's considered one of the better counter picks in this situation. And just looking at the summoners, however, Lake did not get a flash away from missing.
Yeah.
And with Pepper doesn't have one, so their bot lane strategy might be put pretty far behind. It was a gank-oriented strategy, and you really need to get those turret platings before the Iceborne Gauntlet can come out from the Ezreal. So far, this lane not looking to be in a strong position.
That's right.
As V5 wanted it to be.
V5 are going to find themselves in the middle of a jungle gank soon as well. There's a good ward on the Tri-Brush to stop that from happening, but we might see a 3v3 very shortly here. Consider that you have a Mountain Drake burst. Consider that you have volatile lanes in the bottom lane again. And there's no ward here from WE, so they have a big minion wave, but they're pushing up.
This should be fairly difficult.
Well, late flash is missing, response flash missing there as well. Times it perfectly. V5 coming with the gank. That is a summoner for summoner, but advantage of V5.
I actually really like that preemptive flash coming in from Mystic. He doesn't see the Jarvan, but he knows what's coming. He sees the charge coming in from the Galio, and he's like, you know what? I bet Jarvan's here. Gets out of the EQ combo without even spotting the champion. I
like how missing on the way out just forces Y4 back. He's so low off a tongue lash. Missing.
This is painful.
Oppressive as always, yeah. With beishang down here. Why can I not say beishang? Excuse me. Teleport's going to come in. This is xiye. Really trying to force the attitude in the bottom lane. There'll be a Valkyrie out of there, but even underneath turret, xiye is level 5. Phosphorus Bomb looking to force out even more. 3 versus 4. And everyone trying to set the tempo early, but it doesn't look like any team's really the successor.
Yeah, that was well played from V5's part. They actually beat the 4v3 in that situation, force out the teleport on the other end as well. What W were trying to do was trying to pinch Y4 away from the minion wave.
Man, action happening everywhere here. This time the Maiden's going to be involved. Jinoo has to pop the world end, and the Maiden's like, oh, that's a scary man. Walks away. But that's a good ultimate to be popped there from Jinoo, who might have to back and forth to teleport himself.
Yep, ult for ult trade, but we should mention that Jinoo's actually doing very well for himself in that lane. Up 20 CS before we saw that trade go in.
The reason why Jinoo takes it in the top lane, they need to have winning conditions again, but this time V5 know they can rely on Jinoo's Aatrox a lot more. Playmaking potential wasn't there in game 1 with the cannon, just couldn't find his way into the fight, but you see a very different situation here for V5 in their top lane this game. As beishang going to take over more of that top lane for himself. Raptors are his. So is a 10 CS advantage at the moment, but just backing away. Not sure where Pepper is right now.
The thing we have to note about this is that, oh, wait a minute.
That's the flash. Really good response timing from Korn. Find Scatter the Weak. Remember, Unleash Power is available. Phosphorus Bomb doesn't land as well. Ignites there. Unleash Power. Boom! The mid laner just solos down beishang.
Great flash timing to get out of that. Usually it's impossible to get out of a flash knockup like that, but Korn managed to do it. I believe he was still stunned, but able to get out of the crowd control.
That was insane from Korn. Again, why this mid laner is so talked up, even though it has been a downward spiral since his time at Worlds in 2014. I'll bring you back to that point in a second, as Post might actually just solo down Jinoo, forced a flash out of the, whatever that mouth cage is.
Dark Procession.
No, I'm wondering so what the mouths are. Dead people. And I see them so clearly. Post getting the solo out. This is going to even up the farm balance on the top side of the lane. Top side of the map, rather. Maybe something happens at the bottom side too.
There's no flashes on the Galio. Should be a fairly easy gank if W do find the tongue lash. Not gonna get it though.
Tremor sense. I can sense them. I can smell them. beishang's still trying to get in this bottom lane. While he does, Pepper's still farming up. So you can see that the jungle difference getting slower. But this was a very good outplay from Korn.
Yeah, let's see if he actually... Oh, does flash out just in the nick of time. Gets a Scatter the Weak back onto it. Ignite going down. It just looks so easy on his part. Level lead, first blood.
Now, I know people are going to be saying outplayed, but legitimately the flash was the outplay, not the R. And I completely agree. Korn set his buttons towards him, but that's a very important first blood here for V5. Their mid laner is ahead in a matchup that should be winning towards Korn, is now facilitated even more. And Pepper didn't even have to make an appearance. So Korn with individuality here, what V5 are known for.
I have to say, though, I'm not happy about V5's condition. Even though they have strong lanes still, look at the turret platings. Nothing has been taken from WE. They still have 5 stacks of both of their mid lane and their bot side. And also the build coming in from Mystic, he's even found it he's not been pressured enough in this matchup at all. He's gotten the call. He still has enough time to get his tier. A lot of the times, if the Lucian pressures the Ezreal enough, the Ezreal has to skip his tier and go straight for Iceborne Gauntlet.
Yep.
He's not under threat. He's actually living out his dreams at this point.
It's almost the outskilled matchup in the 2v2. Honestly, Mystic and Mystic are playing so well in the past couple of weeks, and Y4 and Lei feel like they're on the decline. Victory 5 have opted in and out of using Road. Surprised they didn't here in this second game. But not sure what their dynamic leads to at the moment, and that's the biggest issue, is the identity crisis here for V5 continues to unfold. In Game 2, they need to show us a little bit more. They do a Mountain Break at the moment, and this is a good momentum buyer, but V5 still behind in gold. They're going to have to hope for the Dragon RNG to be beside them.
If they can start to roam around with the Galio or find Rek'Sai in the jungle, I think that's the main plays that they have to go towards. Right now, they need to have an advantage somewhere on the map. They need at least one strong lane.
Yeah.
And the person to do it on is really
going to be the mid lane. Xiye caught out again, has to flash. Valkyrie in his beishang is out, roamed back in. Remember AoE damage here from Xiye. The Rek'Sai just finds himself through. Beishang's still alive, but Pepper sees to that. Gatling gun is out, but Xiye will not find anything there as Mystic. Ignite ticking down, flash forward. It's as real as it gets for Mystic. Lei comes in, but he has no mana. Let's give us two, baby. The Mystic shot misses. Here comes the Abyssal Void. It's Licky Tongue again, but he can't find the angle. Lei dodges away. It's Happy Feet. Tapper, tapper, tapper. Somehow survives, but still, Mystic gets the kill, and WE's bottom lane are thriving again.
That's not supposed to happen in the matchup. I think that's the problem with this. Lucian and Galio are supposed to have advantages here. They're supposed to push down the turret platings, but everything is going wrong for V5. They can't match W in the team fights. I agree with you. Go for a laning phase strategy. But even the laning phase is falling apart.
And even the mid lane with its advantage in Khorne fell apart in that play. We'll look at bottom lane first because missing... You thought he was dead.
Oh, but Y4 goes in way too close. Actually takes an extra turret shot. And the start of the fight wasn't that well for the Galio either. Great positioning and pacing from Mystic. He actually stands outside of the taunt range.
Ready? Two. Happy Feet again. Yeah, Mumbo. Man, Lei should have died there. That's the impressive part of V5 right now. And, you know, it's not as exciting as maybe WE are playing this out, but you have to look at the positives right now for your V5. 2k gold behind. The jungler again styling on V5, and it's a different jungler entirely. This is just insane. The rate of growth of WE. Let's go, baby. Let's go to
how
Worlds.
Positive you are.
Let's go.
They know
they're there. They know.
Oh man, this is heartbreaking to watch.
At V5 are like, do they know or do they think they know? That's just rough.
Don't play with people's hearts like that.
I mean, look at where Khorne's coming down. They're like, no, they know. And when in reality, there was no ward in that Tri-Brush. They just used the basic lack of information.
Lei goes
now
in,
playing on the fact it's only a 2v2. Lei caught out here, eaten up by Missing. Y4 still at full health, but the poke going to be huge here from Mystic. He's burnt out, he's burned down. Still with the teleport available if he gets forced back.
Really can't chase up without the Blade of the Ruined King completed. Mystic holding on to the item edge.
I mean, Mystic's like almost full health again.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Relic Shield.
And also, just the...
Ooh, bye-bye. Again. Look at the CC coming down. That's the real outplay, isn't it? Cataclysm secures it. V5 going to push onto the mid lane. Turret plating's dropping in a minute. They need some gold.
First turret plating to go down for W. I'm sorry. Actually, Jinoo did find one.
Somehow.
Yep. But...
Oh, hang on. They're going to find beishang as well. Ignites down.
Two-piece combo.
Tick, tick, tick. Boom! Khorne gets his second kill of the game. Now more turret plating, Clement.
That was so disciplined from Pepper.
He was like, I'm going to leave it for you. I took
you
the
know,
other one.
honestly, I would definitely do the kill secure. With the Ignite ticking down like that.
Because you're a top laner and a Kled main. More kills action happening in the bottom lane. Mystic just forced out Y4. This is rough when you're a Lucian and your AD carry has teleport and he's still winning lane. He saw that coming and he couldn't avoid it either. More turret plating again. Bottom lane forced out. Top lane turret is down. Yorick Mori, baby.
Oh well, things going from bad to worse for V5.
Yeah, but I have to say, WE in this form, I see a true playoff team rising from the ashes. Now, we're not talking about FPX. We're definitely talking about World Elite returning to some of their 2017 performance this earlier in the split.
And we have to remember, if WE secure this win, they're actually tied with EDG in the standings.
WE tied with WE. I get you, Clement.
They're both going to be on 6 wins, and WE even has the head-to-head in that case. So they're going to move themselves into the playoff range if they secure this win.
Let's not forget we talk about BLG's strength of schedule towards Week 9 and Week 10. We also say, RNG and BLG tomorrow, by the way, match of the week. Fun little teaser for you. This is, like WE set up for success. Vici Gaming, Rogue Warriors, even JDG, winnable matches. You'd have to say, even though Rogue Warriors beat RNG, settle down. TOP coming up next, that sets this matchup up really nicely. I'm excited for how WE are going. They're now pushing in the mid lane, and this excites me even more. They're pushing their objectives. They're not playing super safe, willing to risk it the biscuit.
Here comes Jarvan.
Might do again. The package is used early on here, Clement. Pepper and Jinoo over by the side, but they haven't spotted out Jinoo. They're walking into a choke. Jinoo is either AFK or he's waiting. Comes around, spotted out by the Tremor Sensor. World Enders here. Missing with the flank with the Galio Hero's entrance right on top. That's Lei jumping into the fight, but WE have already disengaged. Really smart heads-up play there from WE. That could have gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, W definitely were aware of where Aatrox potentially was, and I love the way they spread their members out. Xiye and Mystic on one side towards the bottom, and then all of the front line scattering as well. Yep. So V5 couldn't find a single engage, and this is the power of Iceborne Gauntlet early.
My Lord.
It's so hard to play against.
And you know what's annoying? I've said this many times before, is that Mystic is an Ezreal with a Tahm Kench. He arcane shifts forward, but he is not going to die. Not with Tahm Kench anyway. While all this was going on, WE picked themselves up a Mountain Dragon. Look at Mystic again. Doesn't matter. Scatter the weak. You think that lands? You think I care? Mystic continues pushing on. He's 40 CS ahead of the Lucian. And let me just say, Ezreal wins every lane as far as I'm concerned now.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like, what an impressive champion.
We really haven't seen a good counter to Ezreal. The only one that has been doing well against the Ezreal has actually been the Vayne. Because the Vayne, even when you're with an Iceborne Gauntlet, she can still chase you down through the Night Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
And that's it. Pretty much that's it. That's his only semi-bad matchup.
That was banned away. So there was no option for Y4 to pick that up. And I was actually banned away from V5's side.
Yeah, definitely was the case.
In Game 1, the draft is what we're talking about. It was recovered here in Game 2, but still, it felt like WE were forcing V5 into a lot of the counter matchups or a lot of the issues that we saw in the draft with Game 1 with not the same champions, not the same feeling. Clement, you talked about how the laning phases were their strongest points, but we're now into teamfight territory in the LPL. 17 minutes in, focusing around the Rift Herald at the top side. Laning phase has ended, and we're back to swapping around the AD carries, which means that Galio, that Jarvan are coming into existence. But it's so hard right now for V5 to counteract what WE are sending out.
So V5 still have a very explosive team fighting composition. Cannonball, scatter the weak, lots of crowd control, but realistically, they can only land that on someone like Pose, like someone like Rek'Sai. They don't really have access in towards the backside, but they can still do it on the front line. So I want to see if that's what they try for.
As we said in Champ Select, it comes up to the players themselves. You like the composition, but on these players, maybe more of a question. Beishang has been interrupted with the start of the teamfight coming soon.
Tempting.
2,800 on the Rift Herald. Y4 is coming in, but it is secured by Beishang. They're going to pick up the Rift Herald as they go for the AD carry in the backline. WE caught out for missing. Great flash with the belly of the beast inside him. Mystic does go down, however. Now for missing the Grand Escape. As V5 do find a pick, but for the side of Rift Herald, not going to be worth as Post is pushing on this bottom side. Jinoo, don't walk back in. The maiden is hungry. Just autoing him.
He's fine, he's fine. He still has World Ender.
He does, but
he knows what he's doing.
Only just. Jinoo forced out a lane, though. So even with World Ender, turret for turret, W are going to lose their mid.
Yeah, but V5 finally got the pick they wanted for. It was a great Ignite and Flash from Lei. They do catch Mystic out and had enough time before the Devourer came in to actually use the, I believe they used Scatter, the ultimate on Syndra for that. But anyway, that's why Galio is considered somewhat of a counter against the Tahm Kench. It's because you can taunt both the Kench and the AD carry at the same time.
Yeah. It's super rough as well if Mystic and Mystic are always caught together. We'll have a look in the bottom left-hand corner because Turret's going to go down no matter what. V5 can't stop that.
See, the start of it, it was a really good EQ combo. Great taunt onto both bot laners, and that was enough time for the Syndra to deal the damage and lock down Mystic.
Yeah. Good pick off again. 2 kills mid, 2 kills in the jungle. Leo was the one to pick it up, but you still have damage threats here on the side of V5. You still have the top laner who's farming away. He's actually doing okay now into post. He's recovered the lead as where it should be. 19 minutes into the game. Baron coming up shortly. V5 scouring for vision. Remember, game 1, a lot of control wards in the top side of the map setting up for Baron. A lot of vision control in the enemy jungle. This game, V5 put more of a priority on vision. Look at the control wards in, or everyone's inventory, but we're focusing on V5 here because they've transitioned around to making sure they deny vision.
They know the clock is ticking against them. The scaling options are on WE's side, so they need this mid game to find those picks. How do you fight against a poke composition that has great disengage? You force them to come to you. You set around those objectives, and that's what V5's game plan is.
Relying as well that Post doesn't get in the middle of that fight or left alone in the split push. Pay attention to his build as well because that's Asterix Gauge coming second. But a lot of the time in competitive games now we're starting to see the Yorick go for the ZZ Rot third or even fourth. So against Jinoo, someone who wants to be in the middle of that fight, could be very potent leaving Post in the side lane by himself.
Doesn't even need the ZZ Rot at this point. Right. To be honest,
but
like
good
he's
measure,
just beating down on the Aatrox so hard. I agree with you. Third item definitely going to be a defensive one, but I think the Asterix Gauge is much more likely. Actually, he might even go for the Titanic just for a better wave clear at that point. He's very far ahead in the matchup, and you have to wonder, what does Jinoo actually provide in these team fights anymore? He's trying to go for the death stance.
We might not even see a team fight. Remember, Galio's the one caught out, so he can't hear his entrance away. It's Pepper as well, Golden. Pepper going back in for the fight to flag and drag, but Leia's already so low. Mystic again, finding his angle around the side. True shot run. Hi-ya! Lei, not close. Well, maybe a little bit too close for comfort. WE force out the support. Pepper's low as well. What happens because of it?
And this is going to force Jinoo to actually chase around Pose, because Pose actually has ground to instantly teleport and start a Baron. So you can see Jinoo walking up against the Yorick. He doesn't want to do this, but he knows he has to keep that Yorick there.
Hey, he's got speed now, Clement. That's a double Cloud coming up too. Everyone else hates Cloud Dragon. I love it. I want to go fast every champion. I love Deja Vu.
Like, if you're Ezreal, you love it. Like,
oh yeah.
It's so easy to chase up on people. He has the red buff, Iceborne Gauntlet with the Cloud Drake. Yikes. It's going to be so hard for V5 to really find those engages because they can't let Mystic find them first.
Yeah, that's true. Mystic's almost got 3 items as well. We've got a double Trinity on the side of WE. Most of all, I see that the biggest threat, Y4 doesn't have his Black Cleaver. And I say that because, yes, Korn is always going to be a massive threat here, but Y4 in the middle of fights, 2-item Lucian is what you fear. When does it come across? How much gold does he have? We'll answer that shortly. Well, maybe we'll just answer and tell you when he gets that Black Cleaver, which is going to be key coming up towards this Baron.
You fear 2-item Lucian when it's 18 units.
It's 22. Clement, close enough, you know. I just want to see the Lucian do work. Maybe. Do we even see him do work this game? I mean, that's maybe another question.
The front line's actually fairly easy to take down. There's not a lot of armor on either Yorick or Beishang, so that Blade of the Ruin King is going to be dealing massive amounts of damage. I want to see if V5 can understand the way they need to fight this. They need to focus down on one of those front lines, take them out as soon as possible. If they can't finish off the AD carries, you know, whatever, just get that quick kill and hope for the best after that, honestly.
That's some good mentality there, Clement.
I'm sorry, I'm a very cynical person. I started as a coach, you know? And as a coach, like, time is the most valuable resource you have on a team.
Hey, give time to Post here, and Jinoo's dead. I'm just saying.
That's true.
Like, bring it back to the matchup. When you get Death Stance, you say, I need to survive. Like, for an Aatrox second item, you're saying, I can't go Youmu's. I can't go, you know, Duskblade. Not yet. Going for the Death Stance here might actually work out. We'll see. Of course, see it a lot on the Riven as well, which Jinoo's known for.
Yeah, we've been seeing a lot more Death Stance on the Aatrox. The Shy also built Death Stance as well. I think it mainly has to do with the removal of sustain on non-enemy targets from your E passive.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, if you're going to these grindy matchups, you really do need something to keep you topped off for those trades.
getting harder and harder to work against Post, who picks up the Sterix Gauge second. The push does not stop. Korn's even come in here, looking for Scatter the Weak, but with the Maiden free to control, Jinoo keeps getting chipped away. The turret as well. And with Korn forced to respond, some of that deeper vision means WE have the heads up to go towards this Baron and start looking for the pick to start it off.
Just do a little counter here, but it's been 2 minutes since there's been any action outside of the bottom lane of the map, and that doesn't bode well for V5. They're the ones that need to be pushing this tempo. First things they need to do is actually find some of those vision sweet spots on their team and try to punish WE as they come in.
It's so hard right now. There's Post still around this side. The sweet spots of vision don't really exist. Finally Control wanting it out with that turret going down. This is the start. The vision sweet spot again, Clement, you're right. They'll spot this.
WE should spot that. They know. They're going to back out.
Yeah, it will expire, so they're all the way off the Baron. Remember, Jinoo is low, so knowing that the teleport would be weakened here from V5 was a good call from WE, still threatening away with 5,000 gold at 25 minutes. And you've got a comp that's just going to get better and better. Ooh, and a Hextech Gunblade on Ezreal.
The best, safest option you can find on Mystic.
Get ready.
It amps your, it amps your AP damage as well. It gives you a ton of sustain, so you can survive through, survive through the burst damage. Also, a lot of catch potential, which is what I like. It's, it really is a choice between Blade of the Ruin King and the Hextech Gunblade. But I think if you're not going up against tanks, most of the time the Hextech Gunblade is actually better.
Yeah. No, it's going to do quite a lot of work in these team fights. Post turns this around. I'm not sure that was the right word. Flashes over the wall. Jinoo, World Ender. Let's go, baby. Give me another solo kill. The Immortal Chain.
He's gone back.
Brings him back in. Shut down. Oh, yeah. That's the solo kill I want to marry.
That was a bit puzzling, to be honest. So we have to mention Post did walk back into that trade. He was like, you know what, I'm half health,
He was
but
confident.
I'm sure I can take this.
It's a Yorick, you know. Yorick never backs away from a fight.
He
All
was
in or
punishing
nothing.
Jinoo this entire game. However, that trade was a little bit too far.
Yes. WE still want to make a trade themselves.
It's a 5v4.
Yeah, Lei coming in, Shield of Duran is expired. Jinoo teleports in eventually. V5 just goes straight to Baron. Why not?
This is pretty much their only play. That was a really good package slow from Xiye to stop the damage dealers of V5. But now the question is, can V5 actually survive the poke from WE? They don't want to. They're actually setting up for an ambush.
Arcane Shift into Mystic Shot lands, and suddenly at a quarter health, they're off a Baron. They haven't made the play just yet. beishang is going to find himself a nasty Jinoo. Is True Shot Barrage from Mystic says, get out of town.
Name a more iconic duo. V5 and 50-50 Barons.
Oh.
Happens almost every series. They're actually remarkable in making the enemy team go for 50-50s as well. That's a rare talent.
I would argue at this point that V5 still keeping themselves in this game. A lot of people at home saying that this looks very one-sided to WE. But still potential for this pick out of the Syndra, Pepper and Lei to pile on top. So keep your minds wide open. WE haven't clenched out this series just yet. But they are going to get themselves another cloud. Yeah, Yorick. Whack him down. What happens when a dragon dies? That's the real question.
You want to see a dragon grave?
Oh, yeah.
It actually does leave a dragon
should
grave.
give him a big grave. You should get a ghost dragon. It should be Mordecai. They're going to rework Mordekaiser at some point. I'm pretty sure that was announced.
for a Drake, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Drakes are magnificent creatures.
Because Yorick digs graves. That's the joke, right?
Yeah.
Like, seriously. But Post, when he kills the dragon, it should be like a level 16 thing. He should raise the dragon, and it's like a little minion. But it's not the full health, you know? It's not the Mordekaiser one-hit wonder.
You can just make it like a Shyvana model.
Oh,
like
yeah?
a little Shyvana model.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
You know what skin they need for Yorick, by the way? They need Disco Yorick.
Why Disco Yorick?
Because he digs people, you know? It's cool. Imagine like 60s Yorick. And instead of the shovel, I reckon it's just like a cane. It's like Nasus 2.0.
Yeah.
I'd like that.
I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah.
I feel like it breaks the vibe though. Like he's a really morbid kind of keeps to himself type of guy. I'm not sure if he would really fit as a DJ.
I think Archduke Nasus also breaks the vibe. That turns him into like posh man instead of
what are you talking about?
library master. Hang on, let's go 1v1 again.
Doesn't matter what skin he has, he still has the matchup.
So this time, Post, because the Maiden's still alive, he's got it. Hit level 16 as well. The True Shot Barrage was close. Ooh-wee.
I like Jinoo. Doesn't even flinch on that one.
Nah. And what are you going to do at that point? You're like, ooh, it's going past. So the 1v1 in favor of Post as he pushes that bottom lane. Actually backed after that too. Mr. Sanders still believes in WE. And of course you would too. There's a 5k gold lead that hasn't changed, hasn't interrupted. You got a triple cloud coming up and the threat of Baron, which Korn is waiting around, but Korn is 2 levels behind xiye at this point.
And
Better mid lane wins.
They're willing to slow roll this as well. I think, honestly, what they're waiting for is just the Seraphs to come up, make sure that Mystic can never be bursted down, and then they should be willing to push the tempo. They'll most likely win team fights if they actually look for them, but they're playing it slow. They're saying, you know what, let's just not risk it. Take it the WE style. We're fine with games going 35.
Yeah. Coming up to that 30-minute mark now as well. Clement, look at the Baron right now. It's contested there by V5. I think they wanted to cheekily sneak it away, but xiye had full control in the river. Control was going to go down as well. V5 just hovering around. We're getting back to more the iconic playstyle of WE.
There's no one actually defending that bot lane tower.
That's right.
Yorick can take it down really fast.
Wow. Shovel. Man, that's the hardest hitting spade I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
3-item
Yorick does.
We got a GA on Yorick as the 3rd item. Yoma's now picked up by Jinoo as well, so maybe the 1v1 changes back in favor, but Post opened up bot lane turret. Multiple threat fronts here from WE. They go for the Baron, or if V5 do exactly that, look at what they're sacrificing. Teleport up for the Yorick as well, and Jinoo doesn't have his. So rough right now for V5 to be in this position.
And I love Yorick's build as well. Goes mainly for full damage items. It's going to hit like a truck. Also knows that he's going to be the target in the front line.
Yep.
So goes for the GA as well. And the teamfight victory conditions for V5 are just... They're so scarce. I really don't see how they pull a teamfight off. It really has to come from Korn, where he gets a masterful scatter of the week.
Yeah.
And they can one-shot combo someone. But it's going to be so difficult.
You've got an Ezreal that's so far ahead of the Lucian. So at this point, Y4 hasn't picked a fight, nor has he been successful at one. I'm not sure if he'll ever be this game. More testament to you talking about how the Lucian is 25% win rate in champs like Clement. And the Ezreal right now, yeah, Ezreal's looking good. Ezreal's looked great in the LPL. Ezreal's a champion, just needs to be nerfed. I'm just saying this. He is just so successful at doing everything. Doesn't run out of mana anymore. Has Seraph Embrace. 4 items. Hit Lay. Lay has the flash. Here comes the Valkyrie. Xiye gets popped out. Double Valkyrie, that's what it was. And Mystic just walks up to the turret and starts hitting more like a truck.
They should be able to transition straight into the bot lane inhibitor. Jinoo's got out of position.
Yeah, this is the World Ender down, locked in by the cage again. Will WE follow this one back up? Because Scatter the Week available here for Korn. The poke is out, True Shot Barrage. Locks on down onto Y4. Jinoo survives, hiding underneath the turret, but the inhibitor might go down, or at least the poke to supplement WE. Looking for that victory here in game number 2. Playoff as the potential here in this matchup. V5 getting strangled out of both playoffs and this series.
Yeah, I had my hopes on V5. I thought that they were a playoff team so far. And of course, they still have a chance to make it, but the chances are very, very scarce. It's going to be super hard. They're going to have to win every single match afterwards. 50 gold's 50 gold. Just been business.
Yeah, quick math.
That's what you have to tell Yorick when you take down his family.
Yeah,
Nothing
right.
personal.
What? Nothing personal. Like you're the mob boss. Oh my. Post losing his wife for a little bit, so we'll see when she went to Tahiti.
I wonder if it's the same maiden, or is it a different one every time you summon it?
Now you're diving deep. I reckon it's a different one. You know what? Divorce after divorce. Yorick's just looking for his perfect wife.
Yeah, it's pretty much a modern family.
I mean, that's what happens when you're very, very depressed, when you're very upset. You know, things can happen. I'm now going to refer to Jinoo. Look at Missing. Level 12 versus level 18, but everyone can come around here. Jinoo's looking for the big. Now V5 trying to force the issue. This is a good play, but Blast Code saves the day.
Yeah, that was pretty close. If he got the 3-man stun, that was a V5's case to come back in. But now they have to scramble and deal with the 1-3-1 being set up.
How can you? V5 on the back end. Post going to be going towards the inhibitor. xiye just knocks down these turrets as quickly as he does. They're trying to flank him, but he's already out.
Free towers being taken by WE. Careful play, and now they have full control around the Baron. They can just slink towards that side of the map. Corki coming in as well, but Jinoo does have the teleport option this time. I wonder if W are ever going to just straight bait Baron with the 4-1. That it looks like, you know, they're just playing it super slow, waiting for that full item chances. Honestly, only Corki is the one that I think Corki is the one that they're waiting for.
Yeah, maybe.
Looking to get that Phantom Dancer, I would assume. Yeah,
there's a Zeal sitting there and waiting. Can't imagine it'd be anything else. Maybe the Static Shiv to come as a 4th item, as we often see on the Corki. You've got Infinity Edge, Trinity Force. There's so much damage there on xiye, but more than that, there's a lot of burst potential that's going to go even on Jinoo. Remember, the front line of V5, although it is scaling up, not enough resistance there to deal with the AD to AP Corki. He is stacked. Nasus 2.0, I'm telling you right now.
Pretty much a waiting room for W to get their full items. Now, I actually think this is the correct play. You have the scaling. If you have full items against a non-completed team, massive win ratio.
Yep.
But it does make for slower games on this part, so I'll tell you a story. You know, the first time I actually saw Mystic play a game was in my house. I was living with Mistake.
He was playing
back
in your
then.
house. Oh, right.
Yeah,
sorry.
Mistake was actually duoing with Mystic. He was just off Jin Air then, and he told me, you know what? This guy's gonna be the next big thing. And I'm like, what are you talking about, man? Like, you're streaming on Korean Masters. Is like, if he would be the next big thing, why is he streaming with you? And he's like, you don't understand. I once was a world championship. I can tell when a player is good. Mystic will be the next big thing. And that prophecy actually came true.
Yeah, partially at the very least. In this split of the LPL, he's obviously not the biggest thing, but we'll see. Because WE, this is their road to playoffs. It begins now. There's teleport coming in. Who is it? It's Mystic. Baron is absolutely free here. Y4's coming in, but uncontested, good, smart rotations again from WE. They might lose their top laner for it. Post getting locked on down the camera, picture-in-picture, just showed us the same thing. V5 have found their pick off, but look at where WE, they're rotating down to the bottom lane. Post will go down, almost takes Korn with him to the grave.
That's a massive chunk damage.
Yeah!
Whoa!
Wow.
V5 are really chased off from this position. I'm actually surprised that W didn't decide to push in the mid during that. They had a very good angle where they had Mystic to kind of stop the backs in from V5. But once more, they're deciding to play pretty safe. W always going for the safer options. They're just going to wait for Pose to come back before they make the final pushes.
They might actually lose bottom lane turret before that happens as well. Remember that Corki just picked up package by the look of it. Jinoo still can't push in. Opening up that bottom lane turret seems to be key here, especially since Elder Drake's coming up 1 minute 20. Vision's still in favor of WE. V5 can't even get anywhere near the area at this point.
All right, there's no reason for W to shy away from fights now. They're completely online. There's no burst damage that V5 can do to actually kill them.
QSS, 2 members.
Mystic's just going to finish off his entire build. There we go.
Oh, hallelujah.
Mercurial Scimitar being picked up. Full item. Mystic, this is go time. Here's the Mystic show.
Yeah.
How much can he do on this Ezreal?
It's that or xiye. Or even Post. I mean, it's been the WE show, Clement.
Yes.
I come back to the point that WE is looking great. This is slow, this is methodical, this is almost, you know, a lot of people compare it to Korea, but more so it's been WE's style. And it's good to see back in form, we'll say, about WE.
WE is still coached by legendary Weishao, of course, but recently he's lost his voice, so the band pick coach is actually the assistant coach.
And that's why Mystic is honoring him with the Ezreal. You know, get better soon, coach. Here's my Ezreal. How does it look? Weishao, 2 thumbs in the air. 3 thumbs in the air. I didn't even know he had 3 hands. Mystic just forces out Pepper.
Yeah, when the AD carry goes onto your main engage option and just chunks him out, that does spell trouble for V5. This is their one final shot. Can they find the scatter of the week? Orange going in.
Turn the tempo on. Lay flashes forward, but Mystic still untouched. Free firing in the backline, culling onto beishang. xiye still available. They jump all the way in. The hero's entrance. V5 still chasing up, but Pepper getting low. Mystic flashes away. Korn misses scatter of the week on the other side. Jinoo is taking the 1v3, but goes into the world ender while Post is ending the game on the first Nexus turret. W just has to play for time. Yorick digging turrets as well as graves as Jinoo goes into GA form. Let's go to the Nexus, because Post is knocking away at V5's chance for playoffs. It feels like it's gone, while WE climb towards securing their spot.
Classical kiteback team fight from WE, actually playing the 4-1 this time as well. Lei can't find the taunt onto the Mystic, and Scatter of the Week doesn't land either. Mystic with full item build, able to kite around that entire team fight beautifully. Great job on the Ezreal.
Always behind for V5, always in a deficit in that game. WE very clinical. 2-0 over V5 is such a good sign of life here for World Elite.
And WE put their name forward into playoffs. We have to remember the remaining schedule, the only difficult teams are, I would say, are TOP. That's the big one left for them. JD Gaming, in their current state, I feel like they can handle. Vici, they should have a solid win rate against as well. So Rogue Warriors, even with their win against RNG, I would still give it to WE, to be honest.
I would as well.
Yeah, so WE, they're putting their names forward to make it into playoffs. Realistically on the board, they might even go up to 3 extra wins, and that would put them solidly within the 6th to 5th place range.
The only team that's going to give them grief might be Sino Dragon. You know, right now, equal with EDG, they have the head-to-head over them. EDG is a whole nother barrel that we'll have to uncover at some other point in the league. But Sino Dragon could be their issue. We won't look at that at the moment. Look at Post. Yorick Mori. Oh my god.
Well, I guess we have some answers for us. Is Aatrox still a counter to Yorick? The answer is solidly no. Like, Jinoo had a very good start in the lane, 20 CS up, but he couldn't do anything afterwards. Just one bad trade, and after the Maiden came into play, that he never got control of the lane back.
Post made one bad move in that 1v1. Losing the Maiden, still going in for that fight. But from there, he won that matchup wholeheartedly. Something about the heart. Jinoo struggling to have impact in that game, even though, you know, he could have been the best performing member.
Yeah, definitely. It's just, if you look at the damage here, basically Mystic out-damaging the entire
Lucian
bottom side of the map.
By a lot. Holy moly. Actually, you're right. Did more damage than 3 rolls combined.
And that's the problem with the Lucian. Your windows to get advantages are actually so slim. You need to play those sequences absolutely perfectly, and that didn't really happen. You have to think about Jarvan losing his flash early on to try and get a kill onto xiye, and he didn't have that extra flash for the ganks in towards the bot side, so the bot ganks there didn't work either.
I will say on the Lucian note as well, unless you're a team like FPX where you're someone like Doomby's able to shove out his lane, walk to the bottom side, bring the 4-man gank squad. It just looks super rough on a lot of these other teams at the moment. And V5, Clement, with that loss, now it's the question if they can even make playoffs at all, because the way the standings are situated, V5 still on 4 wins. Man, they've got,
it's very rough. It's very rough for them. They can still make it, theoretically. They could definitely still make it.
Theoretically, yeah.
But V5, for me, they just have not found their strengths in the game. We talk about the phases in the game. Some teams are great in the early phases. Teams like Invictus Gaming, like TOP, they have great laners. They can really stretch the advantages. Teams that are great in the middle phases of the game. FPX and EDG come to mind. They're great at roaming around and rotating together, setting up objectives. And then you have late game teams like WE that can play a 5v5 team fight so beautifully. But really you have to ask, what is V5's strength? What are their identity? And to be honest, they've got a couple of wins based on their strong laning performance, individual laning performances.
Based on Ben 4 as well, a couple of those wins came through the early ganks in the bottom lane, which we saw none of.
But that's really not enough for me. That's not enough to base a team off of. And it's a bit frustrating because you think about all the pieces that V5 have. They're basically RNG light. They have 4 positions that actually that played on RNG previously. And you would think that they would have a better cohesion. You know, Peppers from that, Y4 came from there, Lei came from there, and you have Korn from our RNG as well.
2014.
But not really enough of pieces that move together. Also, their coaching staff.
That's why we call this team the Scrap. I called them the Scraps, which you said I shouldn't call them on air.
I called them veterans, but
which I've just done anyway. So V5 are a team that has just been put together. They're one of the 2 new teams in the LPL.
It's their first year. Yes.
Yeah. So, but Sino, there's no excuse because they have the veterancy. Sino Dragon come from the LDL, and you see the difference playing as a team in a harsh environment such as the LDL, climbing your way through to the LPL. That is showcased, and even though they still have flaws. But with V5, putting all these veterans together and going, all right, make the team. What are you? It doesn't seem like anyone has an answer. Around Jinoo, that has been the most successful V5. When Jinoo's been on something like the Riven or the carries, play around him.
Yeah.
That looked like the identity, but it keeps on shifting.
And honestly, I think it speaks to the strength of the LPL as well, that every single team has such a strong identity that they can play around, where if you're just on the middle of the road, you're actually nowhere. Middle of the road does not mean anything in the LPL. So don't play road
is what you're subjectively saying.
No, that's not what I mean.
Okay.
I think Raz would actually agree with that statement.
Yeah.
But that's not what I mean. I think Road's actually fine, but he's probably not as good as Lei. But you really need your own strengths. You need your own identity to survive in the LPL. These new teams that are coming up, you talk about Sino Dragons, they have a very strong jungler. Xiaopeng, you know, Knight spoke very highly of him. I was doing his interview. I was like,
oh, wait, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I was like, did you play against Xiaopeng? How did it go? It's like, oh, you 2-0'd us. I was like, oh, yeah, I remember
Oh, that's
that.
right.
Oh,
yeah, no. Sino Dragon.
So if you have one strong point on the map you can play around, you can devise that into a strategy. For me, it should have been Jinoo, but not consistent enough to really carry the team over the hump. And you have to ask, what else is it? Like, laning phase, go all in on it. You know, so don't give me this kind of draft where we're like, we need the Kai'Sa as well. It's like, no, you don't need the Kai'Sa. You don't need the Kai'Sa. You're playing for full priority. You have to go all in, you know. You can't have everything. That's exactly, it's not a buffet in the LPL. You can't be middle of the road, a middle of the pack on all these aspects and say, we're going to be a middle of the pack team. That's not how it works.
Nope.
You have to be strong, very, very good at one thing.
If you're going to be a middle of the pack team, be 8th. You know, that's it's okay to be realistic if you're V5, but now being realistic again with that strength of schedule, I'm looking at Suning, EDG, FPX, Sino Dragon in there as well. That's going to be a bit of a buffet itself because the two new teams of the LPL finally facing off after they've been through the progression and the development through the spring split so far. The development looks better for Sino Dragon. That's why we're just questioning whether V5 can get those necessary. I'd say they need 3 out of the next 4 wins.
Yeah, they definitely do. V5 are pretty much on the ropes at this point. Realistically speaking, they're probably not going to make it. But I do want to see improvements out of this team. I had this team pegged as a playoff team. I thought Y4 did very, very well in LGD last time around. They were very close to being a playoff team. In fact, if they weren't in the Eastern Conference, they would have been a playoff team.
True.
So I had a lot of high stocks in Y4. I had a lot of high stocks in Jinoo.
You would have.
Yeah, but not really gelling together. Come on.
That's all right.
On the other hand, WE. They're back!
Holy
they're back,
moly.
boys!
Now, I'm going to bring up something Niberia said at the start of the split when he was talking about Snake. After one game, he said they're back, right?
God,
and that was false hope. But this is fair to buy into. WE are definitely back. After multiple series, after EDG, BLG, and now V5. They go into TOP next, and I'm saying, right, this is doable. The way TOP play is very dangerous to their play style, however. But WE, the showing here, was quite pristine.
I love the drafting phase from W. To be honest, I feel like their drafts are just far superior from what we've previously been able to see.
Wei Xiao's problem. Wei Xiao being sick better.
He's still the coach. He's still the coach. The drafting coach has changed. I'm sorry. He's Coach Jing, a Korean assistant coach that they found. I'm not too familiar with him because he only subbed in recently, but
is he better?
The drafts have been better. I don't know who's had the better drafts. But the drafts have looked significantly better. You look at both of these blue side drafts. It's a very strong identity in what you want to do with it. Play an early temple game with global catch potential. Lissandra, Tahm, Kench, and Ashe. It's a great composition. Second time around, late game plus poke. Very clear on what you want to do. You can scale out, play with no risk in the early to mid game. Just dunk on your opponents when he reaches 6 items. I love what they've done. They haven't shown that propensity earlier in the split. I think a lot of their drafts were kind of like, oh, we need to hide this lane, we need to hide that lane, make sure he doesn't
put it out in the open.
Yeah, this wasn't very good, to be honest.
I mean, that's what they did with the top lane pick, and I'm pretty excited to say that Post got the MVP in that second game. Was he the most deserving? You know, arguably you could give it towards Mystic again. You could give it to the jungle and beishang for such a great series, but 0-2 and 0. He's like, why did you give me MVP?
This has to be the only MVP that has a 0-2-0 scoreline.
0% kill participation MVP that did 36% damage.
This is pretty funny to give Post the MVP. I agree that he was a big factor in the game. I feel like he did the split pushing strategy.
Pretty much, yeah.
He basically gave unlimited time for xiye and Ezreal to scale.
Yorick Mori.
And that's just one of those unfortunate instances that the stats don't give him, don't do him justice.
It definitely was 0-2-0 MVP. Again, you don't see that very often. Congratulations to Post. I think he's an underrated top laner in a pool of many great top laners. Would I say he's better than Jinoo on paper? No. The way he's performing, absolutely.
Yeah, we've seen the ranking of Post. Like, he's gone up against a lot of different top laners. We were very hyped about how he would do against the Shy. Got pretty much destroyed, but he's the Shy, so you know what? Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, that's very. He's been up to Gimgoon. He's been up to RNG as well, like in Amazing J, and I think against Amazing J, he did look good.
He did actually do very well against Amazing J. So we're seeing the top lane totem pool kind of kind of shake up, and the Shy is still at the top, but then you have Gimgoon, who's I think is having a career split so far.
Post somewhere there. Not between, but somewhere.
Yeah, just underneath that a little bit.
100%.
Yeah, Poe's coming up a little bit after that. I don't think we've seen a game where he's just straight up carries a game the way Jinoo has been. But in terms of playing on the team role, I think he's done a tremendous job.
I think it's pretty exciting to see someone like Post step up to that level. I think it's exciting that he gets MVP 0-2 and 0. However, coming up next after what was WE's success in their road to playoffs, we still have the same question for Rogue Warriors. We still have the same question as if TOP can remain at the top of the standings. We're going to find out right after this short break with Niberian Preacher coming up.
的粉丝自己也非常清楚自己对这个数值。哇，上路 ZDD 逮到一波机会向前直冲，虽然被 Q3 砸了一下，但是丝毫不畏惧，一路追到塔的攻击范围前。这个时候被 W 吸住了，拉了回来，但是立刻身上挂了一个减伤，以后又想反打，但这一切都难道都只是女王的计算吗？这计算失误了，他就走了，反杀了以后 Q 2下拉开距离走了。 他们一直卡着大龙 buff 的视野来逼 EDG 真的是没有一次上当。哇，展现上去选择硬锤加一个加里奥大招，这一次是把所有人都给控住了。哇 ，iBoy 直接飞在空中暴毙当场，我的天呐！他没有水银时代。我觉得看起来林伟翔比较极限啊，感觉蛮难的。CP 了，这波 FPX。 进攻被留下，闪现超风，直接进入开端，表掉了，伤害破表，可乐老头直接蒸发。在这里已经没有惩戒的情况下，加里奥念起一个大招 ，Scout 落地以后交一个闪现，还是没有躲过，还是被锤起来了。他现在暴露在防普拉斯的火力范围里面啊 ，Scout 已经倒地了成 ，iBoy 在逃跑，杜云碧还是追了上来，然后隔墙雷克赛直接扑过来，小天一下一下的4杀跨撞身上。 哎，中路要打一个波比很肉啊，波比非常的硬，但是这个时候了，刀妹大招打到了没有问题，而且后面再一段，但是小天及时的一个 R3把 Scout 踢回去塔里面，但是 Scout 被踢完的这个位置，竟然念了一个 W。 去了这一波被包夹，EDG被包夹的话就不好说了，而且进攻可以守这里，先手大招先走，打走2个人。EDG 大招先打走2个人，大招，哎，但是没有被躲过来了，被躲过了，军棍立刻被留在原地，以后遭到 EDG 5人齐殴，直接倒地，皇子 EQ 盖大招以后，家里要一个大招下来，但是刘千松已经被收走了。